behind every successful business, guess what? Is a story. It's one of courage, it's one of creativity, and taking control of your future. This is the Stay at Home Bookkeeper podcast where we do real talk, where we share real stories, struggles, and successes of people who've built freedom-based businesses. So if you're ready to design a business that fits your life, or maybe you're just scaling your existing business and you want to hear real talk from those already doing it, guess what? You're in the right place. So, Bill and I are here today, and we have an amazing couple here today, Jim and Lorraine Conway. How are you, Jim and Lorraine?
We are
Very
good.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Welcome,
We're
welcome.
amazing.
Well, here's what I want. Before we go into questions, Jim and Lorraine, I want you to tell us a little bit about what you do. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay. Well, we are tax strategists, which is unusual. What people think we're saying is that we're CPAs or enrolled agents. No, 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 no. We have a completely different set of skills that we bring to the table. And because of those skills, we hired CPAs and enrolled agents to fulfill on the actual tax preparation. Our job is to save people money on tax.
Yes. And you know what, Deanna and Bill, this kind of happened organically over a couple of decades because we were finding so much money in the tax return. We're like, why are people talking about this? It's crazy.
I love it. And what I love about it, because, Bill and I, here's the fun thing. It is Bill and I are a married couple, and we have multiple businesses. You and Jim, obviously, Lorraine, y'all are married. And, before I
Multiple
dive
businesses.
well, it having multiple businesses and very successful. And what I love about you is that what we don't talk about a lot of times is being able to work with your spouse in a business, right? And how amazing
Oh,
it can be and how it evolves. Like when Bill
yeah.
and I started a couple years ago, we each had our own paths for 20 plus, almost 25, almost 30 years. And then all of a sudden we decided to do stuff more together and align our businesses in our portfolio together. There was a transition, right? They're really
Oh,
Bill, tell me if I'm wrong, but like we stepped on toes
You are
a little
absolutely
bit,
right. There's a bit of a transition, yes.
right? But then now we've got these amazing companies together. We're building our portfolio even bigger together, and we're very aligned on what we're doing together. And it's really a fun journey. So I want to start with the fact that you guys are this amazing married couple, same thing, building this wonderful portfolio of businesses together and doing it together. How does that feel?
yeah. Well, it's been a journey. We've been working together more than we've been married. We've been working together 35 years and been married 33 this
Yeah.
year. Actually, it'll be
It took
36
me a while to close the sale. Okay.
Aha, it took you a bit.
So, over the years, it's been, to be honest, Deanna and Bill, it's been a lot of marriage counseling and it's been also business coaching. We believe in business coaching and we've done that through our whole lives because in order to play the best game, you've got to have coaches.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
You have to. And so it's just learning each person's role and what responsibilities. Was the key turning point for us, identifying each other's role and then treating that with a lot of respect.
Letting
Yeah.
her play to her strengths, having me play to my strengths together.
Mm-hmm.
The old expression, opposites attract.
hmm Yeah. And that's how Bill and I are as well. We had to just kind of learn what our lanes were, right? Like what
Mm-hmm.
I'm really good at, maybe I can really fill that role. The things that I'm not
Mm-hmm.
good at really honestly are truly the things that Bill's really good at. And we just had to figure
Yeah.
out like what our lanes were and then lean into our lanes and then just respect those lanes and then, but
Mm-hmm.
still do
Yeah.
it together. So it does take a little bit, but as long as you
Yeah.
identify that, it can be a really fun journey to do together with your spouse.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you know what, Bill? You just got a compliment, and it's on video.
It
And
is.
trust me, I bookmark these. I bookmark them.
Well, let's dive in because I want the people that are listening today. I'm not quite sure that everyone understands. They hear CPAs and stuff, but do they actually know what tax strategy is? So I'd like for
Right.
you to be able to share with us what is tax strategy?
Well, the way that I like to explain it is because people don't understand really what that means. They hear strategists in so many different industries. And so it is really looking at a tax return, their books, their, bookkeeping books and their tax return, and analyzing and seeing what tax codes are being utilized. So, for example, are they maximizing retirement accounts? And doing this before the end of the year and saying, okay, what is we'll go into later, the August rule. Many people haven't heard what that is. And it's like, okay, is the business buying equipment? Can we utilize bonus depreciation? And so we just look at it from a standpoint of, let's compare the IRS code. What are the tax deductions that are allowed? And does it fit the taxpayer?
Yeah.
And, provide that education and say, are you aware you can do these things? And then reduce the tax legally, conservatively, and with compliance.
Like she said, basically it's what are the facts and circumstances that exist in a client's life? How can we put those facts and circumstances together with proper documentation to take advantage of what the tax code allows for? And we save money for people, like lots of it. Yay.
I love that. Bill, I know you had a question as well.
Yeah, I'd love to just learn how you got into this and how you got into this in this channel and what just your journey, your origin story.
The origin story makes me feel like a superhero. Where's my cape?
Well,
But if I may, we literally started our journey by finding the money. Our careers prior to this was what could we do with the money that people had? And so we literally just started learning how to find money. And when Lorraine said, why are people not talking about how much money is in the tax code? How much these tax returns, it's just amazing. That's really was a trigger point for us. And
well, what I wanted to add, Jim, is that we in now we're dating us, okay, in the 90s.
oh, by the way, just a quick message. If you really want to be successful in marriage, keep dating your wife.
That's true. Very good. So in the 90s, we actually worked hand in hand with the CPA. At that time, we, both of us used to be financial advisors. And so we were always finding money. And like Jim said, but we worked hand in hand with the CPA for about 10 years. And so when we were collaborating with the CPA and going through the tax return with them and going through our own personal situation, I'm like, this is crazy. Why is people are not talking about this? This is so much money here. And so it evolved and to the point where this year will be 10 years that we've been full-time 100% on tax strategy. We now work with financial advisors.
It started off, Bill, being something that we did sort of for free and part-time. And we literally, as we built our skill sets, it became more and more and more part of our business. And at some point, it became our business.
I love that. So let's talk about this tax strategy a little bit. And you've got a lot of people that'll be listening to this, and they're more than likely in the bookkeeping space. They either own a bookkeeping business or they're thinking about owning a bookkeeping business. So why does tax strategy matter, or why, I guess, would you say it's important for bookkeeping?
Well, first, bookkeeping is literally tracking where all the money is. It's like, it's 11 o'clock at night. Do you know where your money is and what it's doing? I mean, isn't that really what's going on? And tax strategy is this incredible way of leveraging to get additional savings. Yes, but don't we have to track that? Don't the bookkeepers have to understand what's going on? And if a bookkeeper knows how tax strategy works, can they then provide additional value to their clients? Like, oh, you don't have to worry about paying my fees. You don't have to worry about how much bookkeeping is going to cost because I have a team of professionals that will save you more in tax than you're ever going to pay me.
It could pay for more than the cost of bookkeeping. And I'll give you one example, just a simple example for the book. Well,
Just
more
one?
than one. Okay.
Okay.
So let me just, this one we see all the time. It's meals and entertainment.
Oh, boy.
Entertainment is no longer deductible. And you see it on the chart of accounts. You see that. And so what happens is meals are only 50% deductible. But when you separate meals from promotional and employee meals, those are 100% deductible, helping the business owner. And when you have meals that are travel, that's 100% deductible. So in the chart of accounts for the bookkeeping moms and the teams and the people who are considering and who are building their businesses in bookkeeping, that value add service is so valuable to their customer.
Yeah.
And we find that they really get a lot more referrals when they take the extra time and massage the chart of accounts.
Wow.
Wow, that's really good information. Seeing that I just had some stuff coded this morning to meals and entertainment. So that's actually this morning I was sending some stuff over to our bookkeeper and I got to make a little note there to follow up with her now. Well, fantastic. So,
Yeah.
so the majority of our students are just getting started building their business, getting into to running their own business. They majority of them don't have a background in finances. They're going through the academy to learn how to be owners of their bookkeeping business. What's some of the best advice you could give them as new business owners to protect themselves tax wise as they start this journey with building their own business?
Well, first they have to have good bookkeeping. Just saying. Okay. It's true though. Okay.
I think having an LLC,
At least.
Yeah, at minimum, having a limited liability company. People are like, what is that? It's just a wall that creates a circle that creates asset protection. So the business is separated from their personal affairs.
And it also allows for a little bit more tax strategy. And quite frankly, just knowing that there are strategies available as you progress and make more and more and more and more income, it becomes more and more important. Well, through you guys, they will have access to our team for their own strategies. It's like, yeah, let's get it on. Let's get going.
Living, we always say, we practice what we preach.
Amen.
And so when you're living that and you're doing your own business, so you have your LLC and you set up your own chart of accounts for your own business, and just take a little bit of time to understand the basics understanding of a properly set up chart of accounts would be very, very valuable.
So I know the answer to this, but I don't know that everyone that's listening knows the answer to this, because I think there's this common misconception that you have to be wealthy, right, to hire a tax strategist. And I know the answer is no, but what would you say to the person that has that question? It's like, I'm not wealthy. Why do I need a tax strategist? Like, what would you say to that person?
Yeah, there are better ways to save tax than being broke. Okay. Here's the thing that's fascinating. I mean, think about this. This is one of those layered questions. On the very first layer, having some basic understanding just of a few tax strategies can save thousands of dollars in tax. Well, why wouldn't you want to do that in order to build your wealth? As your wealth builds, they become more and more important. Well, of course, it makes perfect sense. But here's the other thing. It's kind of a sneaky one. Think about this. You're a bookkeeper. You're meeting with a client, and the client is trying to figure out where the money is going. They want to track their money. They want to see what the profitability is. They want to have a team member that's proactive and interactive with them, making sure that they're making as much money as possible. having some basic working knowledge of just a few ideas on tax strategy can bring enough value to that client to be the difference maker.
Right. And we do have different levels. We have those levels of people who have the lower income, and we will share the basic, strategies. We call them workhorse strategies: kids on payroll, the Augusta rule, the meals, the board meetings, things like that. And so that's something that is very, very basic. Yes, we have the ability to go, to very advanced situations, but the very basic, we do have a lower tier process to help those people. So, it's a myth. It's a myth that you have to be wealthy to have a tax strategist.
So we see people who don't know when an expense is a business expense versus a personal expense. Educate, help us on how to really you educate your clients about doing this, about to walk in that gray area between business expense and personal expense.
And I always ask, what's the business purpose? For instance, Bill, Deanna, you get together with some friends, right? You're going to pop a cork on a nice bottle of Cabernet, and you're going to have a lovely meal. What does it take to make that meal tax deductible? You have to have a business purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you ask them, you want to hire a bookkeeper? You want to learn how to be a bookkeeper? Just that question makes it a business meal.
I like that.
Okay? As a matter of fact, Bill, one of the most romantic things I've ever said to Lorraine, I've looked at her lovingly in her eyes and said, Lorraine, I'm not even taking a tax deduction for this meal. Just saying. Okay?
That's when you really care. That's when you really care.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I love that. The first thing is, number one is, what's the business purpose? So like people travel, when they're traveling, or we get a lot of questions about, I want to go to Hawaii, but how can I make this business? Oh, okay. Well, you can have actually a board meeting. And one of the gentlemen that we followed
On the surfboard?
No, not on the surfboard.
Oh.
One of the gentlemen that we followed was Sandy Botkins. He's a CPA and attorney, and he actually worked for the IRS, and he publishes books every year of what you can deduct and what you cannot deduct. And we were fascinated when we were reading his book years ago when he was saying, if you have a meeting on a Friday,
Business meeting.
Has
to be full time, 4.5 hours by IRS definition.
Yes, on Friday, and you have a meeting on Monday, so you'll see a lot of
4.5 hours.
Yeah, you see a lot of corporate events. You'll see a lot of corporate events who will sandwich a Friday and a Monday. Why do they do that?
I don't know. Why?
Because you can now deduct Saturday and Sunday for excursions. So you will see people.
Golf.
Yeah, going golfing, going
Disneyland.
Yeah. So those are the types of things that it's like, oh wow, that's crazy. I could have a board meeting,
right?
And I ask people, when you are traveling, is there any conference that you're going to? Is there any educational event? If they have a side real estate portfolio, can you look at real estate? You have to get the realtor's name, go get flyers, go look at properties. You have to have the actual activity. And it always is activity, documentation, documentation, documentation.
Yeah, the IRS really wants you to have a business purpose for that travel before you travel. So make the appointment before you go.
Yeah.
There you go. You just have to show proof of that, right? And you're good?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it has to be in your bookkeeping.
Yeah. So I also know that insurance costs can be deductible. However, I know there's certain insurance premiums that are not deductible, and I don't want to go down the whole rabbit hole of all insurance here, but I think this is important for bookkeepers to know what can and can't be used here. Can you share a little bit of light on that?
Well, yeah. So one of the things that we see a lot in bookkeeping, because we look at the books, is we see insurance. So I'm like, okay, what kind of insurance is that? Is that liability insurance? Is that vehicle insurance? Is that health insurance? It has to be broken out in the chart of accounts. And then one of the insurance that we see, I would say 99% of the time, life insurance, we see that being deducted. And life insurance is not deductible. If you do deduct the life insurance premium, then the death benefit becomes taxable, and you don't want that.
Mm. Very
Potentially.
good to know. That is everyone listening. Very, very good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, life insurance is kind of a weird beast. If you're taking tax deductions, it's limited to a certain face amount. I believe it's 50,000, and it's
On a group
limited to
plan.
a particular cost of term insurance that the IRS actually publishes. So it's quite small, and quite frankly, we see people, they chunk a lot of money in there and they think it's tax deductible because the business is paying for it, and no, it's not. So that's the biggest error that we see out there.
Yeah, there is some exceptions for executive bonus plan, but that's a whole nother conversation and
Split dollars and
more advanced strategy. But the main point is that a lot of business owners will have their life insurance premium pay through the business, which is fine. You could pay through the business, but it's not deductible.
correct.
So as a bookkeeper that like they're coming in, they're trying to really build their business. Why do you feel, I think we've just proven as what you're speaking, that why do you think it's so important that they have a relationship with someone like you as a wealth strategist so that they can actually do better with their job? Like where do you see that alignment?
Here's the thing that's interesting. You don't have to know the solution. You don't have to know how to build the engine. You just have to know the good mechanic. Okay. And our understanding, most of our business comes from referrals, like a vast majority of it. Okay. I think we've gotten one lead from our website since we've had it.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
We understand the value of that client relationship to the bookkeeper. We understand that that's their lifeblood. And we understand that our purpose is to bring value to that relationship. Now, Deanna, gonna I'm gonna throw out some numbers.
Okay.
On average, we save $44,000 in tax. On average. So, I mean, that is
That's a little bit of money.
yeah, uh-huh.
Just a little bit.
That typically pays for most of the bookkeeping needs. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, think about that. If you're the bookkeeper and you bring your client to the table and you say, hey, I've not gone through the process myself, although you should. I understand they have a good reputation. Make sure you're on the same side of the table as the client. Okay. And then let's go through it. What if we're able to find your client that 40,000, that 50,000? What if we're only able to find them $24,000? Is it a good day's work?
Or even $5,000.
Or
Yeah.
even $5,000?
Yeah.
I mean, we just paid for that trip to Disneyland, right?
Yeah.
Oh, but
Well.
of course we're going to do the sandwich thing, so it's deductible anyway. Okay.
Nice.
But yes, that's the value that you can represent. And of course, as you learn the strategies, as we produce the paperwork and the reports, it will assist you in working with your clients because now you'll know the strategy. It's like, oh, okay, this one should go into this kind of category.
At least the basic. And it doesn't have to be, there's actually, we have hundreds of strategies that we utilize, and it's taken us, a long time to learn that. It's just understanding the basics, like Lydia said, the meals, the kids on payroll,
And here's the thing that's crazy. Most of bookkeeping clients have no clue. I mean, think about it. They really don't know. They haven't taken the courses you've taken. They're off learning how to make hamburgers or learning how to build something or whatever their business is. They're depending on you. So let's work as a team.
Which I think that's the most important part is that the bookkeepers can work with you and y'all can make a powerful team that then saves all the clients a ton of money and makes you both look really well, right? Like you're both
Mhm.
good and you both win in that.
So explain a little bit, how does a bookkeeper work with you and the CPA? Do they work? Do they ask you questions and then you get with the CPA? Just trying to understand how it works with the CPA, the tax strategist, and the bookkeeper, and how that relationship works a little bit.
Okay, so we actually have a process. Process and systems do work. So what happens is that the bookkeeper, if they want us involved with the client and the CPA, what we do is we'll get a copy of the return, we'll run it through our system, we'll analyze it, we'll come up with some strategies that we see that are being missed, and then we actually create a report. And then once that report is created, we will review it with the client, the bookkeeper, or the CPA, whatever they prefer. We're very flexible on that. And so then once we create the report, we review it. Then if the client wants to retain us, we do have a fee for that service. And we do focus on the implementation. Once we do the implementation, then we will coordinate with the bookkeeper and say, okay, here's what the chart of accounts need to change. Here's what we're going to be adding and so forth.
So you work with the bookkeeper and the CPA?
Yeah.
Okay,
Certainly.
great. Great.
And,
Did that answer your question, Bill, on that?
It did.
and just
Awesome.
so that you know, if you don't like the CPA they're working with, we can provide that service as well. But it's also, it's a buffet.
Yeah.
If you don't want our CPA service, you have a CPA service because you never know when the client's brother Bob is the CPA. Okay.
That is true.
That's what I was wondering. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah,
So-
let's mix and match. Now, one of the other things that's really cool, guys, that tax report literally has all the strategies broken down. It has a description, it has the requirements, and it has the code section. So literally, all you have to do is get a copy of the report, flip to the page, and suddenly you're an expert on that particular tax
Oh,
strategy
wow.
because it's all there.
Wow. So, for everyone listening, I want to highly encourage you as a bookkeeper that you should be working with a wealth strategist like Jim and Lorraine. So, I'm going to plug you in right now. We normally don't plug people, but I personally love and adore you both. I respect you. So, everyone, how can they? One, everyone needs to be following Jim and Lorraine Conway. So, how can they find you?
There's the old fashioned method of calling us. That's 714-577-8758. And then, of course, our email. And we have a website.
Yes.
I know we have a website. We paid for a website.
Yes, we do have a website, and it's JCA Pro Growth Solutions.
And we'll pop that in as well to make sure that everyone has that so that if you guys are listening, we definitely want you to follow, have a call with Jim and Lorraine. It's worth the time to see if there's a great opportunity for you to work together. And then now you can be the hero to your clients as the bookkeeper, and you can work in conjunction with Jim and Lorraine and just save your clients all that money. I think it's an amazing opportunity as a bookkeeper to have. Obviously you have a CPA that you work with, but you also need to have a wealth strategist that you're working with as well. So I am so grateful to Jim and Lorraine, to both of you for being here today, to talking with Bill and myself, and just giving some really huge gold nuggets here.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you both
Thank
for
you,
having
thank you.
us.
We're excited.
Guys
Thank you,
do.
and look forward to our academy students reaching out to you as they grow and build their businesses, and not only as they find ways to help their clients, but they start building their own legacy, their own wealth, and being able to take advantage of the service. Thank you so much.
So thanks,
very, very
everyone.
welcome.
Our pleasure.
I know. Thanks everyone for tuning in today to the Stay at Home Bookkeeper podcast. Now remember, your dream business starts with one simple step. You've got the skills, you've got the drive. Now go turn that into freedom. Take action this week. And I'm going to encourage you, take action by reaching out to Jim and Lorraine. Let's start talking to a wealth strategist and figuring out how you can grow your bookkeeping business even further. And we'll see you all on the next episode of the Stay at Home Bookkeeper podcast. Bye, everyone. Thank you.